Okay, now we have day two of the saga of Steve Wiggins and his co-conspirator accused of shooting Sergeant Baker 6 times, setting fire to his body. This is a horrific case, so sit back and make sure that you take notes because we have one more day of this case.
I put him in that bag and took him upstairs. Took him to the office. So why aren't you staying in your house in Dixon?
Because I'm moving, so all my stuff is packed up. I'm moving to Illinois this week.
Okay, but so why still?
Because I just got back into town from Vermont and I stopped here to get a room so I can sleep instead of driving all the way to.
God bless the United States, this state, and this court. You may be seated.
All right, we have one matter to take up on the criminal docket, so let's call that case, please.
22 CC 2018 CR 267B, State of Tennessee versus Erika Castro Miles.
I think we have one motion. Is there more than one motion, or are you just dealing with the one motion?
Your Honor, I did file a motion to compel. The state's response has indicated that the proof sought does not exist.
You were asking for a dash cam video from the Sergeant Baker's patrol unit, and the state has indicated there is no dash cam footage. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Does that satisfy your request or your motion?
I take the state at their word.
For the record, there are state agree there is no dash cam footage.
Yeah, more specifically, Judge, there was no camera at all. I mean, Sergeant Baker's patrol unit did not have a dash camera at all. The only camera involved in this case is Sergeant Baker's body camera, which the defense has.
All right. Then that leaves, I think, just the state's 404D motion. Is that correct? Or notice?
That's correct.
Are we ready on that motion?
Yes, sir.
All right. You may present your argument.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning.
So the state has filed its 404B notice. I'm going to take these a little bit of out of order, Your Honor, and just sort of clarify what's going on. First of all, we've noticed that on the first week of May 2018, Stephen Wiggins attempted to sell Brian Hudnall narcotics. He was in possession of a .45 gun and stated he would not go back to jail if law enforcement attempted to arrest Wiggins. He would smoke their ass. Erika Castro Miles was present in the vehicle. It was her vehicle with Stephen Wiggins. The notice was filed in this, not for the content of what Mr. Wiggins said, but the fact that Mr. Wiggins attempted to sell Mr. Hudnall narcotics, which is illegal at that point, and they were in her vehicle. We believe that it's absolutely relevant. She was there. That was her vehicle. They were acting sort of together in concert. On the second one, May 29th, 2018, there is a civil possession in Kingston Springs. I'm going to handle that one last, Your Honor, because there's going to be some video proof of that. Number 3, May the 29th, 2018, narcotics transaction at Walmart, done by Mr. Stephen Wiggins. Erika Castro Miles was with Mr. Wiggins in her vehicle. However, the video that we have from that, and we believe the testimony that we will have from the witness who is currently out of state, is that Ms. Erika Castro Miles was not with Mr. Wiggins when they did the transaction in Walmart. However, We do believe that it is relevant to the case in general. Ms. Castro Miles is not the one who did the transaction. Mr. Wiggins was. And the same thing a little bit later on with the same witness at the Speedway in Dixon. Again, it's with the same individual for the drug transaction. They were in Ms. Castro Miles' vehicle, but she was not with Mr. Wiggins when they actually did the transaction.
All right, under 404B, I have to make a weighing consideration and balance the equities or the relevance of that information against the prejudicial effect. So if what is exactly your intent in introducing, obviously the first one or the last one, I guess it would be that you're wanting to deal with, which is during the first week of May, that statement by Mr. Wiggins that she was present for allegedly regarding if someone tried to arrest him. You haven't.
And Your Honor, that's not actually, the statement by Mr. Wiggins is not actually the 404B issue. That was just how we actually delineated what the event was. The 404B issue in that would be that Mr. Wiggins was attempting to sell Mr. Brian Hudnall narcotics, which in fact is a crime. So it's the solicitation of attempt to sale of the drugs. Mr. Hudnall did not purchase those drugs. Ms. Castro Miles was in the vehicle when the solicitation for those drugs actually happened, and it was her vehicle.
But what's the state's purpose in introducing any of those instances?
Well, Your Honor,
other than to make the defendant look bad in the eyes of the jury, but is it to show that she was with Mr. Wiggins during that period of time?
yes, Your Honor, it's to show that she is there with him and that she is acting, and part of the theory that she's acting in concert with him through the entire span. And that's sort of where things start and they end. They don't really end on the 30th of May. They end a little bit later with Mr. Wiggins being apprehended. But it is a totality of the circumstances.
Well, for example, on the first instance, which you have now just dealt with in time, during the instance where Mr. Hudnall was involved, if I recall correctly, when I ruled on that motion at the Wiggins trial, I ruled that you could introduce that transaction and the statement, but you could not introduce the evidence that there was a drug transaction because of the obvious prejudicial effect. Why would that not apply
Yes, Your Honor.
in this case as well?
Your Honor, again, we are doing this up front to make sure that we are clear on rulings, and we don't have any problem when we actually get to the trial as well.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's a safety measure at this point.
Well, and I think the same thing, if the purpose of those instances is to show that Ms. Castro Miles was with Mr. Wiggins during that period of time and was a willing participant in riding around with him and so forth in that vehicle, it was later the vehicle that was involved, could that not be demonstrated without introducing the fact that drug transactions were taking place as to eliminate the prejudicial effect?
Well, Your Honor, I think that it's, again, when we get to the May 29th civil possession in Kingston Springs that we have video for that will be showing why it's important based on statements that she has given and some impeachment purposes, and then to show that they're sort of acting in concert the entire time.
And that's at what you've listed as number 2, the simple possession charge and drug paraphernalia citations and conviction from the Midtown Inn and Suites.
Yes, Your Honor.
Where she and Mr. Wiggins were sharing a hotel room, and based on the evidence at the first trial, that led to an altercation between the two of them, and she went to the office and he took the vehicle and left, and she reported it stolen.
That is correct. And then he came back and she got into the vehicle with him, and then they left, and the car was never reported back to law enforcement as recovered.
Well, refresh my memory as far as when did that citation occur in time in relation to those events?
Your Honor, it was contiguous with it. When law enforcement
Contiguous means different things to different people. So.
Okay, it happened simultaneously. It's probably the better term for that. When Ms. Castro Miles left the room to report an alleged assault on herself, law enforcement showed up. She reported that her vehicle was stolen. In the process of working the stolen vehicle and the aggravated assault from her, they were in the hotel room. In the hotel room, they found various drug paraphernalia, drug items, things of that nature, specifically in her purse. They also found needles and some marijuana. The needles and the marijuana are what her citations are for. They are sort of interwoven with the entire situation. And she was actually cited there for those drugs and has subsequently pled to those drugs. That dovetails into the other events that happened leading up to Sergeant Baker's unfortunate death, about evading the police and trying to get away and covering things. At this point, she has been charged with criminal offenses. If she gets into trouble with more things, she is also going to be in even more trouble than that.
And you're saying it goes to motive and intent?
Yes, Your Honor.
I interrupted you, but if you have anything else you want to present.
Well, Your Honor, we do. We actually have the video from that incident.
All right.
The body cam video. Mr. Etheridge, if you could play Deputy Monica Mackin's video. Judge Wolf, would you like the defense to put on an opening before we get into the proof?
Sure. Billy, do you want to address those things before we get into the playing of this? You want to respond or you want to reserve for after the play?
I'll wait until they're done showing the court.
Let's go ahead and put on your video. Let's hit the lights so we can see a little better.
Yes.
Morning. Morning.
Should needed that.
The guy named Stephen Wiggins.
Our RMS is down, so we can't even check locals if he does have it. The only thing they can check is the only thing they can check is NCIC and city.
PJ,
013.
Title to the car.
Last two was 13, correct, Junior? Yeah, that's right. That's 13's right. Do you think he took the gun with him?
Always has that. He's
There's some weed in here too. It's a little bag.
Erika. Erika Castro Miles. He's slick.
There's only one way into this place, and that's right through that, right there. Sure. The weeds right here, TC. Go over there, kids. See that apple baggie over there? With the weed in the floor? I mean, there's a bunch of apple baggies, look. That's why I put this on as I got in my, as I got out, I put these on. There's apple baggies galore in there. Big time rap shit. They're everywhere. Oh no, look, there's 2, 4, 5, 6. There's like 7 or 8 on the floor. Then there's one over here with weed in it. There's one here. Yeah, her hair's been. It looks like he broke a ponytail too when he did it. So what? Yeah, I didn't ask her because TC was asking her questions whenever
What's all in these baggies? What's in these baggies?
I don't know.
Come on now.
He probably had meth in it. I don't know what he was doing because we don't spend every waking moment together. I'm half the time I'm in Vermont with my daughter because she's having heart transplant surgeries. I've only been back here a couple days.
How long have you been staying in here?
Just last night because I'm waiting for my brother-in-law to call me to go get a U-Haul so I can get packed up and head on up to Illinois.
How old's your daughter?
She's 19.
he carries a 45 because there's a round. Oh, it's got a picture.
This is not something we can talk about on the phone.
Miss Donna, we have that DL. Can you send me a picture of the male subject and his DL for me?
How would you like to get this full screen time brush my hair?
Sorry?
Can I get my comb?
Sure.
You don't have much hair to hold.
Simple, yeah. Only thing I've gotten so far is the tag number and her picture.
What were you arguing over?
He asked me to go to the store to buy a soda, so I got them doing fooling around. So I put clothes on to go, and then all of a sudden, he started freaking out and stripped me down to search me and put me in the corner, had me on the floor, tried to smother me with the pillow. He finally walked away, and I saw a chance to get out, and I just ran out. I didn't have any clothes on. I just ran out.
How long have you been with this guy?
A couple weeks.
Here's the weed. You see. There's a 45 caliber round too. And like a zillion apple baggies. They're every damn
Looks like
where.
there ain't nothing in them.
No, I don't think they've ever been used.
Looks like you just said.
And then you got the needles in the Ziploc bag.
Okay.
Oh yeah, there's a cap. There's a cap over here too. But they picked up the needle I put him in that bag and took him upstairs.
No matter what.
Took him to the office. So why aren't you staying in your house in Dixon?
Because I'm moving, so all my stuff is packed up. I'm moving to Illinois this week.
Okay, but. So. Why still?
Because I just got back into town from Vermont and I stopped here to get a room so I can sleep instead of driving all the way to Dixon. Because I stay up there, but I don't stay up there. I go to Bowling Green a lot. I'm in Radcliffe, Kentucky every Saturday and Sunday of every month to visit my youngest daughter. And every other Thursday, I'm in family therapy in Bowling Green. Yes. And staying in a hotel room is like a vacation for me to get away from all the drama up there. I have too much going on with my daughter having a heart transplant and lung transplant and getting a divorce. And sometimes my ex-husband comes up there to harass me and I'd rather not be around because he's a drunk.
So you traded in a drunk for a drug
I traded a Navy for a Marine, for a felon, for a drunk, for a drughead. I haven't had one relationship yet where I'm not on the floor.
After watching her brush her hair, I'm not sure that that's not from her brush. All the hair on the floor, that's the way she's brushing it.
No, actually, he took his knife and tried to cut my hair off.
Was his bullets in your head?
Probably because he put him there. He goes through my shit. I mean, literally, I had
You've been with
all
this
my,
guy for 2 weeks?
yeah, and he totally just threw everything. I mean, totally just threw everything. Empties out shampoo bottles and everything. Wasted everything. They'll take the tampons out and pull them apart.
This is the Wiggins guy. Well, they've got the smart tops,
Yeah.
the smart things.
Yeah,
There we go.
so I cut them off. Out.
Hey, Monica, let me use the bathroom really quick.
You're good. That's the tag. Do you want me to text that to you? That's the tag. So if you want for anything. And then I got his, she sent me his driver's license number too. Damn. Damn. I ain't ready yet. She's not like that. She's got freaking this.
And yeah, I don't, my sister's an habitual drug
Okay,
user.
you said 6.
My son and my sister, I was straight about 5 days ago. Before that, I was clean for 14 years. I'm trying to get to Illinois. My brother-in-law is.
5 days ago?
Mainly
Too much space.
pot. I smoke pot a lot of times to calm my nerves because my medication doesn't work. And I don't have insurance to get my medication and I can't afford almost $400 for a prescription.
Yeah, we don't hang around here with people mad when they're doing that.
That shit didn't. All right, I'm gonna have to get your
Oh,
number.
I understand that. But, I mean, my ex-husband was a meth addict.
I set to save the image, but it didn't save for some stupid reason. So let's try this again. Oh no, I hit copy. Okay. That'd be nice if I hit save. This guy. When they said the name, when he told me the name, it sounded familiar. She said she thought he had warrants too, and I told him, well, our investigator. Yeah, so, he couldn't check us.
Yeah, weekends on the radio. The search car, she looked at him back.
Yeah, this is. All right, what was your phone number again?
615-354-4918.
I'll send you his driver's license number too. I just sent those two pictures. All right, both pictures and his DL number sent to you. Who said he would help, he would take over once we needed him first, so he ran to the Shell station. He said, Monica, I gotta go to the bathroom. Yeah, you have fun. Have a good night or day. We'll see you in 12 hours. Yeah, I know. TC, we're out. Who else got is your back better?
So, Your Honor, we're going to move a copy of that video as State's Exhibit number 1. And as Your Honor can see in that video, Ms. Castro Miles was reporting that her car was stolen and that there was an assault that was going on. But what's important in that is a couple different things. One of them, in the search of the room where Mr. Wiggins is not, but Ms. Castro Miles is, there is weed that is found. She actually admits that that's her weed. There are several baggies that are on the ground. There were hypodermic needles, drug paraphernalia there. There's ammunition that's found that matches the same caliber that was used to kill Sergeant Baker in her purse. And she had she had an identification that she handed law enforcement at that time. All of this sort of works together when we look at the totality and the plan and scheme of what's going to unfold over the next few hours and statements that were previously made. Like, for example, in number 1, when we were talking about the incident with Mr. Hudnall, Ms. Castro Miles, while she was there at the drug deal, adopted what Mr. Wiggins was saying by nodding her head and agreeing with it. This all operates together to talk about how it was a common plan and scheme, that she was also going to be in trouble if she gets caught with law enforcement again. She had active and pending charges at this time. The citations that were given to her for her weed, which she's ultimately pled to, and the drug paraphernalia. If she got into any more trouble, clearly, while you're out on one charge, you're going to be in big trouble for others. So we believe that it is absolutely relevant to motive, to common plan or scheme, and to show her participation in these events.
Your Honor, I'm glad the court got to see this video. That room was just trashed because of Mr. Wiggins, not because of Ms. Erika Castro Miles. My client's been a victim of Mr. Wiggins throughout this whole ordeal. And there was blood, her blood was on the pillow, her hair was ripped out. Law enforcement found evidence that there was indeed a firearm present when she was being assaulted by Mr. Wiggins. So I'm glad Your Honor got to see all this. She's not some willing co-conspirator with Mr. Wiggins. She's just another victim. I do see a lot of relevance in that video, but not for the reasons that the state points out. Miss Erika Castro Miles wanted to get away from Mr. Wiggins. Many domestic assault victims want to get away from their abusers, and they just don't have the courage to do so. And that's what we have here. She's not a willing participant in drug transactions. And even if she were, they would be wildly irrelevant, wildly prejudicial. And there's zero probative value on what happened to Sergeant Baker, which was an absolute tragedy. Sergeant Baker, whether he realized it or not, was about to rescue that woman when Wiggins gunned him down. None of what the state seeks to introduce should be admitted. 404B is a rule of exclusion, not a rule of admission. I don't see how Mr. Wiggins being involved in drug transactions translates over to Miss Erika Castro Miles being guilty of murder. And as far as what Mr. Wiggins said, that's not only hearsay, but it's extremely prejudicial. I mean, people talk bravado and bolster all the time, and they don't mean things. What the state wants to do is, it's interesting that they said it the way they said it too, is if she nods along with this man who's way bigger than she is, who's violent, obviously, if she just nods along, then she's adopted his position, his statement, and everything else. And that's ridiculous. I would hate for a jury to have to hear that. That has no bearing on whether she participated in the murder of Sergeant Baker at all. So we'd ask respectfully that Your Honor deny that, their request to have all those pieces of evidence admitted.
Judge, so if the story ended with the Kingston Springs Police Department issuing citations to Ms. Castro Miles and warrants for Mr. Wiggins, I might understand Mr. Finley's argument. But that's not where the story ends. And that's in fact why we've noticed all of these other incidents, because the defendant in this case, Ms. Castro Miles, chooses to rejoin Mr. Wiggins shortly after the video that Your Honor just watched. She chose to get back together with Mr. Wiggins. He comes and literally knocks on her door, and they load up all of their property from the hotel room and put it back into her car and go to Dixon. So it's not that she's just a victim and is trying to get away from Mr. Wiggins. That's the point to our notice, is she intentionally rejoins him. Now, let me back up just a little bit. Item number 1 in our 404B notice states that in the first week of May, Stephen Wiggins and Ms. Castro Miles had this interaction with Mr. Hudnall. That also goes to show a lot of the contradictions and inconsistencies in Ms. Castro Miles' statement. She tells law enforcement that she's only been with Mr. Wiggins for 2 weeks. Well, we know that's not true. They've been together since at least the 1st of May, because that's when they had the interaction with Mr. Hudnall. Also, if Your Honor recalls from the 911 call, Ms. Castro Miles says she doesn't even remember Mr. Wiggins' last name, doesn't know his name. She's trying to separate herself from Mr. Wiggins at this incident in Kingston Springs, but that's really not her intent or motive. Her intent and motive is to get back together with him. She tells law enforcement she doesn't remember his last name. And let's not forget, the .45 caliber ammunition was literally found in her purse in this hotel room. It's her car that is used. Now let's go past the incident at the Midtown Inn and Suites. The purpose of showing Mr. Wiggins inside Walmart and at this gas station is to show that Ms. Castro Miles had every opportunity to disband, to disjoin, to get away from Mr. Wiggins, because we can see him on video inside Walmart conducting a drug transaction. She's not inside Walmart. She's outside. She could have walked away from Mr. Wiggins at any point in this 24-hour period. Again, at the gas station, we have Wiggins and we have a drug transaction. She could have abandoned this entire operation, this whole conspiracy. She did not. On many occasions throughout this process, she chose to stay with Mr. Wiggins. She has adopted the same position that Mr. Wiggins has, that they have both adopted together were running from law enforcement, and it's going to be, when all the proof comes out, you're going to see they both have active warrants for them. They're both trying to avoid law enforcement and any type of interaction with law enforcement. So had she wanted to separate from Mr. Wiggins, she could have done so on multiple occasions. So really in points 2 or 3 and 4 of the state's motion, the bad act itself is not a bad act of Castro Miles, it's of Wiggins, but we're using it, the bad act of Wiggins, the drug deals, to show that she could have and did have the opportunity to separate and leave Mr. Wiggins, but she chose not to. She rejoined him every time.
I believe in the Wiggins case, I previously ruled that the incident regarding the statement Mr. Wiggins had made was admissible based upon the fact that it showed motive and intent of what happened. And I think in that ruling, I excluded or prevented the state from introducing the evidence that was involving a drug transaction. It seems to me that this same ruling should apply in this case, and that the first of these instances, which the state's motion states that during the first week of May 2018, Stephen Wiggins attempted to sell Brian Hudnall narcotics, was in possession of a .45 handgun, and stated that he would not go back to jail if law enforcement attempted to arrest Wiggins, that he would, quote, smoke their ass, end quote. Erika Castro Miles was present with Stephen Wiggins, and they used her vehicle. It appears to me that the intent of showing that she was present during the statement that was made would be accomplished without involving the use of, or involving the evidence of a drug transaction in that particular instance, because she was present physically at that point, and therefore the introduction of the evidence regarding the drug transaction would be evidence of a bad act on her part that I think could be highly prejudicial. I think that and I do recall that at the Wiggins trial, we allowed the state to introduce it, but instructed the witness to refrain from stating about it. And he testified essentially that he met Mr. Wiggins and Castro Miles in that vehicle, and on the date and the time frame that he testified to, and that during that conversation, he noticed that Mr. Wiggins had the weapon between his legs, I think, if I recall correctly, and that he said something to the effect, "You better not be caught driving around, or you don't need to be driving around Dixon County with that gun between your legs." And that's when Mr. Wiggins made that statement. My recollection is that at that trial, that witness, Mr. Hudnall, also stated that she was present, Mrs. Castro Miles was present, and that she, I do recall that she nodded in agreement or something on that order, but that obviously would depend on what his testimony is at this trial. So I will allow the incident itself to come in because I think it does show relevance regarding knowledge and intent on the part of the defendant, but I am going to order that the state's witness in this trial, as well as in the first trial, refrain from referencing any sale of narcotics or the purpose for which they were there, unless for some reason the defense opens the door in attacking the witness's credibility, then that might become relevant. But that would be admissible on motive and intent as far as this court is concerned. So that one will be allowed with that restriction or modification. The citation for simple possession of marijuana and the video of the Kingston Springs room, I understand what Mr. Finley is stating, and certainly Mr. Finley is an accomplished attorney. He'll be able to argue to the jury that, that does show that she was a victim of domestic violence, and I believe that it is relevant because of a number of reasons. One is that the incident that occurred led to the report of the vehicle being stolen, which is what essentially led to the fatal confrontation between Sergeant Baker and Mr. Wiggins out there that morning. And because of the fact that stolen vehicle report arose from that instance, I think that it is highly relevant, her attitude, demeanor, and what all took place there in the room. The fact that she said Mr. Wiggins, those were his drugs, and that shows that her blood and that he attacked her. I think that, again, Mr. Finley can raise that as an issue. But I think it does go to, again, because of the fact that there is the weapon that was involved in the murder of Sergeant Baker was a round for that weapon was found in the hotel room in her purse, makes that highly relevant as well. And I think that the relevance outweighs any prejudicial effect because, as Mr. Finley pointed out, there's a way that he can present that to the jury that she is actually a victim of domestic violence, and it may be relevant from the defendant's standpoint. Well, that will be allowed. And the other two transactions, as I understand it, do not show Erika Castro Miles and I assume these are video transactions that are recorded on security cameras because of the fact that they don't actually show Ms. Castro Miles in those videos, and then it clearly is not a bad act on her part. But I do think that that information is relevant because of the fact that, as Mr. Crouch has pointed out, the fact that Ms. Castro Miles was not present would indicate that she had the ability to leave and escape Mr. Wiggins if in fact it was a non-consensual type situation. And the fact that that is an argument that the state can make. And I think that because it does not show an actual bad act of the defendant, Mrs. Miles, Castro Miles, then it would not be excluded under 404B to begin with. It would not be 404B evidence. It's actually just evidence showing that she had the opportunity, if she chose, to separate herself from Mr. Wiggins. So based upon my ruling, I'm allowing all four of those with number one, the incident with Mr. Hudnall with the restrictions I have placed, but the remaining portions of those, of that motion of notice rather, is admitted under the courtroom. Anything further then that we need to address?
Later on.
I did, just for everyone's information, that I did speak with the clerk of the court where we're going. Yesterday, there were some 200 plus jurors that were brought in. As we agreed, met with those who felt that they had a problem with a sequestered jury, and probably 50 or so people were granted exclusions from that. So we still have well over 100 individuals. They were not given the name of this trial, and they were instructed not to try to do any research or try to find anything out about it, but they were simply advised it would be a sequestered jury. As a practical matter, then, from the state's position, do you have any idea how long you think this trial will last? I think I've asked you that before on the record, and I'm just asking for some sort of an idea.
Judge, I think if we are able to impanel and seat a jury on Tuesday, the state's proof will be concluded by Saturday.
On Saturday?
Or on Saturday, yes, sir.
And then I'm not going to put you on the spot, Mr. Finley, and asking anything about it, but I just wanted to have some sort of an idea about the state's proof. I don't see any reason we shouldn't be able to. We're going to have, I think we have 3 or 4 panels of jurors, and we'll be bringing them in panels to minimize the overcrowding conditions at the courthouse. But the selection will be at the process will be taking place at the courthouse in the county we're going to, and we'll bring them in panels. And when the first panel is exhausted, we'll have the second panel coming in a little later in the day and proceed until we're able to get the number. And everything I'm hearing, I'm optimistic that we should be able to get a jury that's not been exposed to a great deal of publicity about this. All right.
We're going to do Ward Dyer in Stewart County.
Pardon?
We're doing Ward Dyer in Stewart County.
Yes.
Okay, understood.
Rather not say the county, but since we just said the county, but it is going to be at the courthouse. So. All right. And is there anything else in this case? Mm-hmm. Thank you. Then that will conclude this hearing.